Thank you all for coming. We'll call the October 15, 2018 meeting of the Limestone County Commission to order. Pamela, public comment?
No, sir. All the ones signed in for the public hearings.
Okay, we're going to do the proclamation at the end, Shell.
Yes, sir.
All righty. Pamela, could you call roll, please?
Commissioner Hill.
Here.
Commissioner Turner.
Here.
And Commissioner
Ben
Harrison
Harrison's
was
coffee cup showed up, and that's...
He is here, but I don't know where he's at the moment.
All right. Commissioner Turner, Sheriff, would you lead us in our pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. All righty. Ben, your coffee cup made the motion to give all your money to Commissioner Turner. It passed 2-0. First item, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes from October 1/10/2018. Do I hear such motion?
I make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Turner. I have a second by Mr. Hill. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Mr. Turner.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous. Good-looking group here this morning, Sheriff. Next item, I'll ask for a motion to approve claims in the amount of $926,379.84. Do I hear such motion?
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Harrison. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hill. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Are there any conflicts of interest to be with any of you gentlemen on what's left on our agenda to be voted on today?
Yes, I have one. It's the Greg Weatherford. I do business with him. He's got an issue before the commission, so I will not participate in the discussion, and will abstain from the vote.
Duly noted. There's no other conflicts. We'll move on. There are no resolutions and orders, no contracts, agreements, and grants, and no budget revisions. No emergency purchases, nor board appointments. This time I'll ask a motion under the award bids to American Paper and Twine for sanitary supplies from November 4, 2018, November 3, 2019 to the County Commission. Overall bid list, $1,873.60, which is 20% off catalog price. Do I hear such motion?
I make a motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Turner. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by either Mr. Hill or Mr. Harrison. They said in unison. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Personnel actions, I'll ask for a motion to hire Richard Clanton as a deputy pending drug screening. Do I hear such motion?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Turner. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hill. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Massey, if you'd like to, I see you have two items on the engineer report.
Yes, sir. We do have two items for your consideration this morning. The first is a subdivision, Johnson's Ferry. It's in District 3. This is a major subdivision, so there'll be new roads and utilities installed. This is for preliminary approval, so they can begin construction. It's the east side of Looking Bill Lane. It's 26 lots, I believe. Wednesday's agenda had 19. That was a typo. It's 26 total lots.
Thank you, sir. Do I hear a motion to approve Johnson Ferry's, the preliminary approval of Johnson Ferry's subdivision as recommended by our engineer?
I make a motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Turner. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Harrison. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Massey.
Right, to continue, the second item is in Mill Creek Phase 2. This is in District 2. It's a subdivision that had been approved several years back, but the roads were never accepted. Roads and right-of-ways were never accepted because they weren't complete. So they followed a process that allowed for
All right, do I hear a motion to approve acceptance of Mill Creek Phase 2 right-of-ways and roads as recommended by our engineer?
I make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Turner. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Harrison. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Mr. Turner?
Aye.
Mr. Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Hill?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mark, do you have anything else? Thank you. Other business. I'll ask for a motion to approve tax abatement for North Alabama Laser Fab Incorporated. Do I hear such motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Hill. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Turner. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Hill?
Aye.
Mr. Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Abstain.
Motion carries unanimously with one abstention. So, anyway. Schedule public hearings. I'll ask for a motion to approve open public hearing to receive comments relative to the proposed action to renew cable franchise agreement with Mediacom. Do I hear such motion?
I make the motion.
A motion by Mr. Turner. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hill. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Hill?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Is there anyone here today present that'd like to make a comment on the proposed renewed cable franchise agreement with Mediacom?
Only person I have signed in is Chris Lloyd with Mediacom.
Guys, y'all got any questions for Chris, or do y'all want him to address
Yeah,
y'all?
I do.
Chris, you mind stepping up to the mic, please, sir?
Just like, good morning.
Good morning.
Just like last week in our meeting, last meeting we had, we asked for some contact information.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be able to supply us with some really good contact information where we can get a hold of a person instead of a computer or some kind of automated response system, so that if we do have problems or we're having residents that have problems, that we can actually get you on the phone?
Absolutely. I have my business card with Office Sam's telephone. So
Thank
either
you.
one works.
That's the only question I had.
Okay. Anything else?
All right. Thank you. Now I'll ask for a motion to approve to open public hearing to receive comments relative to the proposed action to vacate a portion of Sugar Creek Road right-of-way. Do I hear such motion?
I make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Harrison. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Turner. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Hill?
Motion carries unanimously. Pamela, do we have anyone that would like to speak on the Sugar Creek Road right-of-way?
Yes. First up is Marty Gillum.
Marty? How you doing?
Good morning.
Morning. So, I'm Marty Gillum. I'm not a landowner on Sugar Creek Road, but I'm here representing my mother, who is a landowner there on Sugar Creek Road. Just based on the talking with Mr. Neely, I think his wife is here, and Mr. Smith, based on the fact that it's my understanding that there is no plan to replace the bridge. That bridge has been condemned there on Sugar Creek Road for a long time. We do get some trash from people throwing out trash, a lot of the traffic that comes down the road, and
On the south side?
on the north end, on the south side, on the south side, off Persimmon Road. Our place does get trashed a little bit. We have to pick up trash on the side of the road. Probably nothing like Mr. Smith and Mr. Ingram, that are property owners there where the bridge is. We're in favor of vacating that portion to Mr. Smith and Mr. Ingram. Thank you.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you.
Pamela?
Next up is Lydia Neely.
I also am in favor of surrendering that part of the road to Hooper and Mark. We have the same problem. As a matter of fact, Mr. Harrison had to send the litter crew out there within the past couple of weeks, pick up tires somebody had thrown out on us. And we've still got some in our creek that we've got to go down a cliff to try and get them out of there. and we just as soon close that bridge unless there would be some way that they could make it something that would be like, that would add to the beauty of that creek, would be like a covered bridge, like a wooden covered bridge or something. We would be okay with that. But other than that, if they can't fix the bridge, let's close it off.
Thank you, ma'am.
Marcus Smith. Gayla Gillum. Tony Hobbs.
Hey, Tony.
Hey,
I don't own no land that joins Sugar Creek, but I am an avid kayaker. We do a lot of kayaking, and we want the access to the creek to be able to float down the creek. And as if you close the road off and give it back to the landowners, as Mr. Blakely commented, our county is growing so well and so big that it may be a point in time when we need that road to open it up back and forth. And but if you give it back, you'll never get it. It's gone. And that's all I have.
so you're not in favor of vacate?
No, I want it opened or just let us have access to the creek, you know, to put our kayaks and all in.
Thank you, Tony. Pamela?
Richard Durham.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate the opportunity to speak on behalf of vacating the property, the road. I guess some of my questions are rhetorical. Some have practical answers. For some time now, I've heard that District 4, I believe that's District 4's year, that we have more roads than any other district with the same amount of funding. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Well, if there's the same amount of funding and our roads are suffering because of the lack of revenue, is it practical to open an additional mileage or roads for maintenance? And that's the question I have.
If it's, I can answer that if you'd like.
All right.
If it's maintained as a gravel road, it's not that much cost. We can do that fairly reasonable.
Okay. The next question is, over whose district is Gordesville or Gilbertsboro?
The Gorsville Road, that was closed prior to my coming in, but it's in District 4.
It is in District 4, and it is blockaded as well. Is it abandoned or neglected, or what's the status of that?
Well, that was done before I came in. Now, I've abandoned the road, the Shoal Creek Bridge that we took out. It was, that portion of it was given back to Judy.
Okay, I guess my question was, if you're going to open those roads, then open this road, then open those roads as well. Anyway, one of the main problems I have is that I walk for health reasons up and down the Hulsey's Branch Road. I'm a landowner. During this time, there's garbage. There's 2-liter bottles with looks like charcoal. There's all sorts of condoms and things that are distributed and thrown. It is a gathering point for, and I don't infer that there's anyone here that is that undesirable. It's a undesirable gathering point for people who are looking to do things that are not legitimate or legal, and it is just an eyesore, and it looks like a third world country. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Pamela?
Steve Tucker.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Steve Tucker. I live there in Leicester, and I do not want this road vacated. I would like to see this county road open back up to access Sugar Creek. There's the Iron Bridges. After all, it's been deemed by the county lawyer as a legal county road. And a lot of good people like to access the creek at this point to canoe, kayak, swim, or fish, and I think they should have that right. Sheriff Mike Blakely's promised to patrol this area, and I know he will. And after all, you know, we can't close everything just because people litters. I mean, it's people litters everywhere. You can't just designate to close this place because people does litter. And so I don't want it vacated.
Thank you, sir.
Hooper Inman.
My name's Hooper Edmond. I own the property where the abandoned road is. It's been my granddaddy's farm, my great-granddaddy's farm, and my great-great-granddaddy's farm for many years. And I've watched the last 12 years go on you wouldn't want this next to your place. I'm begging the commissioners to vacate it for, when you own a piece of property, you want to be able to enjoy it. And I can tell you since June, since we've closed it off, it's been very peaceful. I've had some conversations with Ben. Certain areas of the county has areas that's impossible for Mr. Blakely to patrol it the way it needs to be. There's people from Tennessee that come over by 30, 40 people at times to swim, drink. The day I got ready to close the property, there was a car going down the road. On the other side, they were shooting a high powerful rifle on the other side. Thank God Bud or Richard wasn't cutting hay over there. But I want to protect my property, and I'm here pleading with the commissioners to make that. It's easy for you to say that you want access somewhere, but when it's on you, I would like to know what anybody else would want to do with that. I'm a sensible person, but I just want to protect my farm and my granddaddy's farm and my great-granddaddy's farm, and I just don't see any good in it. 12 years ago, the county was going to leave it, and they left it. Had one ruckus down there. Of course, you're not going to get many calls down there because when people are partying, who's going to call the law, But they had one ruckus down there about 4 or 5 years ago on Buford Bates' place, and Ben even contacted me, wanted to know if me and Mr. Jackson would want to take the property over, and I said, no, I don't want the liability. My granddaddy's farm is about 700 acres down there, and I added this 109 acres, so it's about 800 acres. I bought the property to protect my farm, and I didn't realize it was going to be this much of a struggle, but I go on and on and on. I'm very passionate about it because it's my family farm. You just don't want this on your place. If the county commissioners want to go in there and put in new bridges all the way across and new roads, you know what? So be it. I would be for it. But a dead-end road on the very end of Limestone County, I'm telling you folks, it goes on 24 hours a night. It's bad. And I just plead for your mercy that, if you know me and you want to get to know me and you live in Leicester and you want to come down, talk to me. I like to do the neighborly thing, but I just beg for your mercy. I feel like I'm going to jail, but I feel like I'm begging for mercy for you guys to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Pamela?
No one else.
All right. Any comment, Ben?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and comment on that and I appreciate every one of you getting up and speaking and everyone showing up on this issue and letting your views be known. I've done considerable research on this and will continue to do that. But I haven't heard, we've talked just about with every one of you, I've talked with every one of you that presented this morning, and I haven't heard anything different than in this morning than I've in my comments with you privately. So here's where I stand on this, and it's up to me to bring this before the commission. I'm the one that has to put it on the agenda, so to speak. And I want to give you my reasons because right now I'm not going to bring this before the commission, okay, for a vote. And here's my reason. Taxpayers have, as you mentioned, taxpayers have over the years have put in money to maintain that road, the bridges over the years. And if we give up, if we vacate, as you had mentioned, Mr. Hobbs, if we vacate that now, there won't be any hope of us reacquiring that right-of-way in the future. And I want to reconnect the communities, ultimately reconnect the communities of Leicester and Good Springs. I mean, it's a 12-mile detour around there. And right now, I don't have the money, but we're looking at and trying to get cost estimates on us putting that bridge back. It's a long shot, I will admit. But if we go ahead and vacate that property, it'll probably be impossible to reacquire that property. You know, I'm also looking at getting Sugar Creek included in the Alabama Scenic River Trails. That would be a good, I'm talking to Jay Grantland, the executive director there. I anticipate having a resolution before the commission in a couple of months to include Sugar Creek in that Alabama Scenic River Trails. And there'll be money there they have money and they can, for improvements for a boat ramp and for maintaining the river, being able to take the trees out of the creek. You know, that would be an advantage. And I talked to Jay, and he said that once you open up that to the Alabama Scenic River Trails, you get more traffic in there, and there's no, in the riffraff or the troublemakers tend to vacate or tend to leave the area. So we've got those things in the work. I've been out there and cut the bushes back on each side of the road. We're in the process of raising Sugar Creek Road prior to getting to that intersection. We'll go ahead and take the barriers up and go ahead and raise that road going down to the bridge. We have to take out that bridge. That's what I'm preparing the road for. I've got a crane. We can take that bridge out. The bridge has to come out. There's no way that it could be incorporated into a new structure. Now, I'm talking to people about grants. It's got to come from new money. For us to replace that bridge, it's got to come from new money. I'm not, like you said, the amount of money that we have for our existing roads is meager. But there's a chance, not in fiscal year 19, but maybe in fiscal year 20, that we can go after some grants. But at least we can open that road up to get the traffic back to where they can get down to the creek. And so I'm not in favor of closing the road and giving the property back. The lawlessness is an issue. It's an adjoining issue, but that's something that we can address, right, Sheriff? And then, okay. So, and we've got a couple of ideas that we've been working on there to where we can get notification quickly and we can catch whoever's down there going in. So that's where I stand right now. I just want to let you know that. My intentions right now is not to bring this to a vote before the commission. So if you have any questions, you can ask it after the meeting.
Any further comment?
I think I'll just, instead of making a big comment today, until Ben makes up his mind about whether or not he's going to give us the opportunity to vote, I'll just remain silent.
All right. Thank you all for coming. You both made great points, both sides, really did. Next time, I'll ask for a motion to approve the open public hearing to receive comments relative to the proposed action to rename Seaman Road to Big Creek Road. Do I hear such motion?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Harrison. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Turner. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Hill?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Pamela, is there anyone here to speak on this?
Yes, sir. Daniel David Brookshire.
Mr. Brookshire? How you doing?
Mr. Chairman of the County Commission, I'm opposed to renaming the road in question, the Seaman Road. The original intent for renaming it from Tillman Mill Road was the fact that Tillman Mill Road was already bypassed, and it had been redundant to have it named Tillman Mill, so they changed it to my uncle's name, David Seaman, sort of as a memorial. He served in the United States Army during World War II as a aviation mechanic in Britain, and also he happened to be one of my. I just as sort of as a memorial to him. The second reason I do not want to change is my sister, Nancy Brookshire, has a residence on there. I also jointly own a house on Seaman Road, and she has a severe heart problem. She occasionally goes into cardiac arrest, and she has a special pacemaker with a defibrillator in it. The heart monitor is monitored over the internet via a Huntsville hospital in Huntsville. Now, when if they should change the name of the road from Seaman Road to Big Creek Road, it'll be a while before they get a change of address. It takes a while for like say the secretaries and stuff to get all the address changes. And if she goes into a cardiac arrest while they still have the name of the road is Seaman Road, and they dispatch a ambulance, like say from Athens Hospital, to go out there, there might be a mistake, and the ambulance will not arrive in a timely fashion, and it could be end up in consequences very unpleasant. And other than that, other than those two things, I would like my uncle remembered, and I do want to maintain safety as far as my sister goes, which, mistakes do happen, and that's my basic objections to the name change.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
For coming in. Pamela, is there?
Nancy Brookshire.
Nancy.
Thank you for this opportunity. As my brother said, I would like it to remain as Seaman Road as a memorial to my uncle, as he stated, but also to my aunt. She was a teacher in Seaman Road, and there's not many Seaman Roads around, and I would like to stay it. As the only resident and owner of property on the road at this time, I would like it to stay a Seaman Road. Not only because it takes a while to, change address and everything, and I feel this is, as a child of a military officer in the Navy, not officer, but a military father who served. I've been from coast to coast, from Florida to California, and I've had to change my addresses almost all my life. And I figured this is my final address. I'm going to be there for as long as I live, and hopefully happily, and I would like it to stay Seaman Road. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. Is this your district? Yes. Okay. Is there anyone?
Thomas Mitchell.
Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
My name's Tommy Mitchell. I live at 2011 Tillman Mill Road. I own the property that on both sides of Seaman Road. We've got two structures, two houses on Seaman Road we own. The Brookshires have the property at the end of Seaman Road. Seaman Road, David Seaman, Nancy Seaman was the original owner of this property. Raleigh Coleman bought it. It's the Coleman property. The family of Coleman have always owned this property. Nancy Coleman married David Seaman. David Seaman had no children, so there's no blood relatives to David Seaman on this property, nor have there ever been. It's been the Coleman estate since the 1940s. We've had a lot of issues with embarrassment in the road name. We make orders and stuff, and we get a lot of awkward silences, sideways grins when we give that road name. I have two sons that plan on moving to the property. They both have two children each. One of them has two teenage daughters. It's just a big embarrassment for them to have to get up in public to say their address. It just causes all sorts of conflicts with us. And we'd like to have the road name changed to Big Creek Road to save this embarrassment for our family.
Yes, sir.
That's all I got to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Donna Mitchell.
Donna.
Hi, I would just like to say that Tommy's wife and we have property on Seaman Road, and it is embarrassing. It's a pretty name on paper, but it sounds obscene when you make phone calls and state the road name. So that's why I would like to have it changed. I get a lot of giggles and uncomfortable silence when I repeat the name over the phone. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I don't have anyone else signed in. Is there anyone else that would
Is
like
there anyone else who would like to speak to this issue? If not, Commissioner Harrison, would you like to? No. You won't have to?
No comment.
Okay. Thank you all.
I'll take all the comments under advisement.
Okay.
I haven't
Once
made a
again,
decision.
that would be your call.
That would be my
whether
call.
Put it before the commission to.
Yep.
All right. At this time, we'll move to report of our officers. Commissioner Hill.
Yes, it's good to see everybody this morning. I lived up there in the neighborhood of Sugar Creek for about 3 years. I know most of you is good folks up there. And I hope that comes the point when Ben can open the road. When I lived at Union Hill, when the road was flooded, it took us a long time, especially if it was hauling cattle or something. But I hope Ben can get the road open. And I'm not going to make pros or cons. I just, when he decides what he's finally going to do, I'll make a comment, pro or con. But it's good folks up there, and appreciate y'all coming and voicing your opinion. I think the sheriff will do, I know he'll do what he said about the patrolling if he can get down to it. If I was a deputy, I wouldn't want to leave my vehicle walking because that's part of his armor. So he needs to be able to get down there too if he's going to patrol it. And as far as District 1, we're doing the normal routine. We bushwhacking, ditching, and patching potholes. And, but appreciate everybody coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Turner.
Yeah, in District 2 right now we're busy working on the shoulders on Newby Road. We should hopefully finish that up Wednesday, Thursday. I would hope that, and then once we get the rock down, we'll then go back and start cleaning up all the dirt that we moved out of the way to put the rock down. That's all we got going right now, and kind of like Commissioner Hill here, when we hear from Commissioner Harrison on what his plans are, that's when I'll make a statement either way.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Harrison.
We're working on Cantrell Lane. We've got all the stone, the rock down, the slag down, and we're ditching portions of it. Then we'll move to Gray Ridge when we get through with that. And we're also working on a project with TVA on Marbit Bend, putting down block material to make that trail a little bit smoother. He's already reimbursed us for all of our expenses, and we just got to get it done before the rain sets in. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Michelle, did Jill make it?
She is. She's here.
Jill? Yes. She's come back. Don't we have another Marine here? Huh? Come on down, Sheriff. Jill, do you know Sheriff Blake?
I have met him.
This is the most famous Marine in Limestone County right here. Whereas communities across America have been plagued by the numerous problems associated with illicit drug use and those that traffic in them. And whereas there is hope in winning the war on drugs, and that hope lies in education and drug demand reduction, coupled with the hard work and determination of organizations such as the Young Marines of the Marine Corps League to foster a healthy, drug-free lifestyle, and whereas governments and community leaders know that the citizen support, is one of the most effective tools in the effort to reduce the use of illicit drugs in our communities, and whereas the red ribbon has been chosen as a symbol commemorating the work of Enrique Kiki Camarine, Kimberly. Hey, I got it. A Drug Enforcement Administration agent who was murdered in the line of duty and represents the belief that one person can make a difference. And whereas the Red Ribbon Campaign has established by Congress in 1988 to encourage a drug-free lifestyle and involvement in drug prevention and reduction efforts, and whereas October 23rd to 31st has been designated National Red Ribbon Week, which encourage Americans to wear a red ribbon, show their support for a drug-free environment. Now, therefore, I, Mark Yarber, Chairman of the Limestone County Commission, do hereby proclaim October 23rd through 31st, 2018 as Red Ribbon Week in Limestone County and urge all citizens to join me in this special observance.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to say?
Yeah, I'll say something. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Hey, the Young Marines are a group where we have children 8 to 18 years old in our program, girls and boys, and we do a lot of we try to do a lot of drug speeches. We try to go to schools, hand out the red ribbons, and that's one of our main focus is to try to keep kids from starting drugs and knowing the dangers of drugs and how to say no. So that's a really big push for our program. So thank you.
Thank you. Once again, thank everyone for coming today. Everybody did a great job, presented yourself really well. Everybody made excellent points. It's always gratifying and great to see people come and get involved and be passionate about the things that they believe in that concern our Limestone County government process, the county process. Sheriff, Chief, thank y'all both for coming. Sheriff is ones that don't come. Sheriff and Chief's here just about, unless they out putting somebody in jail. They're protecting us. I hear about every commission meeting. Thank you so much. With that, we will recess until 10 a.m. on Wednesday, October 31st, 2018 at the Washington Street Courthouse Annex at 310 West Washington Street, Athens, Alabama. Y'all have a great week.